I'm Daniel Natal, because someone had to be, and all the better people were taken. In analyzing a lot of the problems of the West right now, it occurred to me, you can't have capitalism outside of the context of Christianity. It's like oxygen without nitrogen. Pure oxygen will kill you. Likewise, pure capitalism will destroy the society. It has to be tempered with Christianity. German philosopher Max Weber wrote a fascinating book called The Protestant Ethic in 1904. In it, he asks why capitalism arose in the West. He concedes that there were many societies just as entrepreneurial, and some vastly more so. So why didn't capitalism arise among the Arab traders in Baghdad, or among traveling merchants on the Silk Road to China? These groups were far more cutthroat and committed to money-making than people back in Europe. So why didn't capitalism develop there? Weber's answer is interesting. He said that due to Christianity, Europe had a unified ethical framework which encouraged honesty and stigmatized lying. In the Middle East, for instance, people were praised for lying skills, and the only people stigmatized were the dupes who fell for the cons. In Europe, by contrast, people were stuck in pillories for being dishonest. This led to social trust, which allowed for the emergence of banks. In a society that promoted ethics, people could be trusted to pay back loans or to fulfill contracts. Because of this, Marco Polo could get his funding for his trip to China, or Columbus could receive financing for his voyages to the New World. This would not have been true among non-Western dual morality cultures, where they just steal the money and run away. Economic activity in places with weak moral systems collapses. For business to take root, people need to trust each other. Max Weber comments that it's no coincidence that capitalism first arose in America among the Puritans who ruthlessly enforced ethics. But now, as we globalize, we're encouraged to back away from the West Christian roots. In fact, we're encouraged to use terms like the West instead of what it used to be called, Christendom. We're taught to no longer use AD or BC in terms of calendars and to use the vaguer before the Common Era as an example. There's an assault on Christianity, as we're told to be more inclusive, which means more culturally vague. Replacing our spiritual values, which made the prosperity possible in the first place, we're told to switch out Christianity as an organizing principle for capitalism. But here's the thing. Without Christianity, you can't have capitalism. One was an outgrowth of the other. And for us to erase this fact is to commit an assault upon history. I was reading Jason Rezajorjani's book, Prometheus and Atlas. In it, I stumbled across the passage. Leo Strauss observes that modern technology is forcing the material conditions of a world society upon us, without a common world culture as its basis. It is the unification of mankind on the basis of the lowest common denominator. This leads to lonely crowds suffering from a pervasive sense of alienation and enemy. Furthermore, Strauss recognizes that no genuine culture in the world has ever arisen without a religious basis, or without addressing man's need for something noble and great beyond himself. I agree with the passage. We're being encouraged now to recreate society along the lines of the lowest common denominator, consumerism, the animal aspect of our identity, the senses. But as Strauss said, no great society ever arose without a religious basis. As corporations pushed to increasingly diversify America as a method to divide and conquer its people, it trained a new generation of politicians to tell us that Christianity was divisive. Let's just run society with pure capitalism. But here's the thing. Pure capitalism is highly corrosive. Decoupled from Christianity, capitalism always seeks after the cheapest ways to maximize profits, which means firing workers in the West and utilizing slave labor in sweatshops in Asia. Pure capitalism will gut entire nations if it makes their stock go up a nickel. It will pollute, it will sabotage, it will stage coups in nations whose resources it wants. Back when America's ruling elite were proud advocates of Christendom and clung to the Protestant work ethic, they had certain lines that they wouldn't cross. Today's globally diverse ruling class have no such Christian ideas concerning people having dignity by dint of their souls. To the new rulers, people aren't touched by the divine. They're merely human resources, raw materials to be used and throw away. If you think about it, what we call social justice warriors are a perverted version of the abolitionist movement from the 19th century, albeit decoupled from Christianity. These kids no longer believe in capitalism, not because they're true Marxists, but because they've never experienced actual capitalism, which was an adjunct of Christianity. They've only grown up with a mutated, rapacious version of atheist capitalism. The Guardian has an article on polling that suggests that 67% of young people want to live under a socialist economic system, while a 2018 Gallup poll found that 45% of young Americans saw capitalism favorably, down from 68% in 2010. These kids feel spiritually empty inside, and they don't know why. Because of their upbringing in a cultural void, they think that the solution is more sensory stimulation and consumerism, so they're less apt to make arguments about man being made in the image of his creator than about why hedonism and degeneracy are desirable. So they're less like Puritans than impuritans, although they do remind me of H.L. Mencken's quote, "Puritanism, the haunting fear that someone somewhere may be happy." The impuritans have the same dread, and they move hell and high water to ensure that everyone is miserable. But for all their faults, their rejection of the current system is based on a gut feeling that something is wrong. Very wrong. Their diagnosis is just off. More drugs and transgenderism isn't going to fill that empty void inside, nor is it going to solve our economic problems as we normalize and become inured to leaders who have no connection to the West's Christian roots, hence no commitment to the ideals that Christianity elaborated, like the concepts of human rights, man is made in the image of God, freedom of speech, or bodily autonomy. All of these things arose in a Christian context. Get rid of Christianity, and the underpinnings of all these ideas go away. If you're a conservative and a Christian who loves America and hates communism, have we got a show for you. The Ben Armstrong Show, presented by The New American, is a show filled with political commentary based on what's happening in America today. Check it out, thenewamerican.com.